Hello and welcome to the Korean Beauty Show podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lee, K-beauty expert, founder of Style Story, where you can shop, learn, and explore the world of Korean skincare, and of course, your guide to everything you need to know to properly explore the world of Korean beauty. I am very happy to have you here with me again if this is not your first time listening, and if it is, a big warm welcome. For this week's episode, I wanted to do something a little bit fun, and that is because many of you will have seen popping up around on your social feeds and things like that. It is Black Friday coming up, and this started out as a tradition in the US, similar, I suppose, to what we were doing in Australia and probably the UK with Boxing Day, but this has really taken over, and we do it here in Korea. There's a lot of brands that will do Black Friday. It's taken over in Australia. It's become a really big occasion to shop. Lots of brands, sites and things like that are doing crazy deals, crazy discounts, and I'm going to insert a shameless plug here for Style Story. We are also getting in on the madness. We have up to 80% off select K-beauty products, and we've also got some products on sale starting from only $6 AUD. So if you are looking for a bargain, you will find plenty over on stylestory.com.au. We are also offering little mini skincare kits and a Style Story branded travel bag for all orders over 100 AUD. And I went and did the conversion for you, and it's about $66 US at the moment. So if you spend over about $66 US, we're going to throw in one of our little mini skincare kits as well in a reusable Style Story travel bag. So that is my shameless plug for Style Story. Please go and check out everything that we have on sale. I think we've got over 4 pages of stuff on sale from a lot of the top brands. We've got CosRx, we've got Dr. Jart, Solwasu, Subi, Jellicoe, Tosuwung, Applebee, Hanyul, I believe. What am I missing? Oh, Skin 79. If you're a fan of the Skin 79 BB creams, we've got some of those on sale as well. So go and check them out. We've got some really, really great deals on stuff at the moment. But what I wanted to have a little bit of a chat about, because there is a lot of, not a lot, but there is a little bit of chatter about people saying, you know, I'm anti-Black Friday, I'm not going to be getting involved. And I completely respect people's right to, you know, sit this one out. If you have a moral opposition to, you know, events like this, that is totally fine. But for a lot of people, I think this is a really good way of helping to budget and save a little bit of money. I know for myself personally, I never used to get too caught up in it or worried about it, except that then I would notice that stuff that I had, you know, purchased, and particularly for bigger one-off purchases, and then I would see it go on like a mad discount on Black Friday, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I could have saved myself a lot of money if I just planned it a little bit better. And, you know, stuff that maybe I didn't need right then and there, but I bought it in advance, and then a couple of months later, it was on sale. So I just think that you can actually make a lot of savings, but I want to go through some of the pitfalls, things to avoid when you are shopping, particularly for skincare this Black Friday. I'm assuming among our listeners, there will be a lot of you that want to pick up a few things that you need, pick up some stuff maybe that you haven't tried before. So I'm just going to run through the 7 deadly sins to avoid, as determined by me. This is not a serious list. Obviously, this is just some stuff that I think it would be helpful to keep in mind if you're going through the sales, if you're having a look what's out there this Black Friday. So let's kick it off. And number 1 on my list is buying stuff you don't need. I think that's one of the worst things that you can do. Some people like to go in with a full-on plan and make a list. I think that that is a great idea if you're a list maker, if you are an organized kind of person. I am not that kind of person. I'm forever winging it. And then I'll realize at the last minute that I've run out of something at home that we need. And then I'm like in a tears because I don't sort of run off a list. So if you are not like me and you are organized, I think making a list can be a really good idea. And also making a spending plan if you're worried about your finances. So if you've got a certain amount of money that you know, are wanting to put behind your Black Friday spend, kind of planning it out. What exactly do you need? Where should you be allocating that money? That is a very, very sound idea. And that will help you from just going into overdrive and buying a whole lot of stuff that you don't need. So that's my number one deadly sin to avoid. The number two one is buying way too much stuff. And this can be a problem for skincare for a lot of reasons. Number one is you've only got one face, unless you're the kind of person that's like sharing with other people or buying, you know, for other people at the same time. You've only got one face. You can only use so many products. And particularly if you are buying from brands that tend to skimp on preservatives, and there are quite a few of them in K-beauty, that stuff goes off super quickly. So just watch that. There are definitely some brands on the market that have much shorter shelf life than other brands. Isoe is one that comes to mind. That stuff goes off super quickly. Benton historically has had much shorter shelf lives as well, which can be a little bit tricky. I'm trying to think of other brands. Innisfree back in the day did used to have that problem with some of their stuff, but I think that they use more preservatives now than they used to. And preservatives are a good thing if you want the product to be stable, if you want to be able to use it for longer. But there are some brands that, for whatever reason, the brand concept is they're really leaning in on organic or natural. That stuff is not the kind of stuff you want to be stocking up on just because it will go off. The other big thing with skincare is once you've opened it, you also need to think about how quickly you're going to need to use it after you've opened it. So some products will have on them a period after opening, stamp or sticker, and it will be between 6 months to a year, usually if they're using a proper preservative system. If they're not, they can go bad as quick in as little as 2-3 months. I've seen products go bad. So just be a little bit careful about that. Just thinking ahead. And again, this goes back to the planning point. If you're thinking about what you're actually going to need, how much stuff can you realistically go through if you're going to open it, within a 6 months to 1 year period. Now, there are a whole lot of products, and I myself know because I'm a person that has a lot of products lying around for lots of different reasons. Some is because, we film with it. Some is because we're testing or checking things like that. And a lot of products do actually last a lot longer than you would think, particularly if they have a preservative system in place, and you can definitely tell when they start going bad, if they've got any sort of mold or anything like that. But I think it just is a good idea. It's a sound idea not to buy way too much stuff. Unless you're super generous, I'm the kind of person, because I have so many products lying around, I have a lot of different people that tend to get a lot of the stuff that I don't personally use. So, our office managers, family in Jeonju, all the aunts and everything like that tend to get a lot of that kind of stuff that we just don't end up all using. There's a whole bunch of people in Australia that have been basically using all the offshoots of our stuff for years and have never had to buy skincare. So unless you're that kind of person that just, you're happy to hand it over to people that will be able to use it, just try and avoid buying way too much stuff. I think that's a pretty solid rule. So that was my number 2. Now, my number 3 is a little bit different, and that is not taking advantage of deals. If your favorite skincare brand is on sale right now, then it's obviously a great time to stock up, as long as you don't have a whole bunch of stuff already on your shelf. And that's because a lot of brands are famous for not discounting or rarely going on sale. So if there is a brand that actually has a discount or a deal that appeals to you, then I think now is actually a really good time to take advantage of that. For Jellicoe, we are offering 30% off at the moment on stylestory.com.au, and our stuff rarely goes on sale just because it's the most popular brand on our site. So now is a good time to stock up on stuff like that. The other thing is that now is a really good time to stock up on Christmas gifts. And a lot of people have been saying that to me, I want to gift X, Y, or Z product to my other family members because I love it so much. So I think that's another really good idea. I know in Australia back in the day, it used to be the case that the best sales, and I'm talking like a long time ago, maybe like 15, 20 years ago, it used to be the case that the best sales were the Boxing Day sales. And that would be the time when people would like line up in the store and push people out of the way to get in and grab the best deals. So you kind of couldn't really use them as Christmas gifts unless you were going to see people after Christmas, because Boxing Day is of course the day after. It's the 26th of December. Unless you were like my mom, who used to love giving the excuse. She used to say to us kids, oh, don't worry, I'm gonna get your Christmas present, but I'll get it when it goes on sale at the Boxing Day sale. So it was not a great time, unless you were that kind of person, to stock up on Christmas gifts. But now, because it's in advance, it's actually a great time to save a little bit of money, and that can actually help you budget as well. So I think that's one thing that, the people that are like, oh, avoid Black Friday like the plague, I totally respect that point of view. But for a lot of people, if they're going to have to go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff for nephews, nieces, all these people in their family, I know for a fact it can get really expensive. We used to do that in my family, and there are 9 of us cousins, and then we've got all the aunts and uncles and stuff like that. So to buy stuff for everyone in my family used to cost an absolute fortune. So if I'd had something like this, I definitely would have, taken advantage of it, I know for myself. So that's just one thing to take into consideration, is if there is a good deal on something that you love, or you need to buy anyway, then I think it is a mistake to, not take advantage of that just because, I don't know. So that would be my number 3 tip. Now, my number 4 tip is, I think it's really important that you make sure, particularly if you're buying for yourself, that the product is right for you. With all the heavy discounting and the craziness of Black Friday, sometimes you can get a little lost and you just get really excited. But again, I think this is a really good time to read the reviews. I know a lot of people say to me they like to re-listen to their favorite episodes of this podcast. If that's you, then maybe just go back and re-listen if there are any points that you're like, oh, I just want to check that before you go and buy a product. And the other, just a really practical thing, is to have a think about what your skin is going to need for the next 6 or so months and stick to those. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of point in buying really lighter textured products if you're heading into winter at the moment in the Northern Hemisphere. I think be a bit realistic, have a bit of a think about what's missing in your routine. But having said that, now is a good time to branch out and try a product that you might have had your eye on, but you haven't tried it yet, because you're not going to be spending the same amount to try it out. So check if the product is right for you. Make sure you think it's going to be a good fit. And if it is something that falls into the wheelhouse of products that you're going to need in the next 6 months, I think now is a good time to go ahead with that. My number 5 tip is, don't leave it till the last minute. This is I'm literally the worst for leaving things to the last minute. And trust me, it gets really stressful. But the other thing is, at this time of the year, the good stuff tends to go quickly. So I think give yourself enough time to properly browse, check what you want, check what you need, and then check out and get it with enough time to spare. That is just a surefire way to avoid, firstly, disappointment, but also just all of the drama that goes along with missing out. There's nothing worse than that feeling. So don't do what I do and don't leave it to the last minute. That would be my number 5 tip. Now, my number 6 tip, and obviously I definitely have horse in this game, but shopping online. Don't forget to shop online. There's a lot of different reasons that I think it's a good idea, not just because I run an online store, but deals open earlier often online. And more importantly, you can skip the crowd. That is, like, I literally avoid places like the plague when there is a big crowd. That is just my personal pet peeve. I have sworn off all malls in Korea anytime it is a 빨간 날, like a red day we call them. It's like a public holiday. I don't know why, but everyone seems to head to the malls here, and it is just an absolute schmozzle. Like, even one time a couple of months ago, we were trying to get in just to get a car park at one of the malls, and it was an hour-long wait just to get into the car park. So I don't know about you, but that is my idea of hell. So shopping online, you can skip the crowd, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home in your pajamas. So I think that is definitely a big plus. And then there's also no need to rush your Thanksgiving meal. If you are, in the States and having a nice meal, you don't want to sort of rush through it so that you can go and shove elbows with everyone else. So shopping online, definitely highly recommend it. Now, the number 7 one, hopefully this one goes without saying. But try not to be rude at this time of year. I get it. There's a lot going on. It can be a little bit of a frenzy. People are shopping from, places overseas and things like that. But I think a lot of the time particularly when shopping online, if you wouldn't say it to someone's face in real life, please don't put it in an email. I think people can sometimes forget, just because they can't see the person, that they are speaking to a real person, but you are. And anything that you put in an email and send to someone in like a fit of rage or anger because maybe, I don't know, a discount code isn't working or whatever is happening, maybe, the tracking didn't come through for your parcel or it looks like it's been delayed at the post office, you're speaking to a real person. And I've worked in e-commerce now for many, many years. I set up my first online store in 2014. But before that, I also used to work at good old McDonald's. I worked there all the way through high school. And I can tell you for a fact that the people who are nicer and nice to the staff when a problem arises, when something goes wrong, they always get better service. Literally always, than the people that are screaming, yelling, throwing things, cussing at you, like just making a scene. Being awful to people does not get you better service. So that's just something to remember. I know it can be a super stressful time of the year. I know people can feel a little bit anxious if, you've ordered something and it's not there on time, but there are, this will be, I can guarantee you pretty much no matter where you live, that things will take a little bit longer to arrive to you at this time of the year. That's just the way it goes. More people buying stuff, more people sending stuff, put stress on the mail systems. The postmen and women will be working overtime. It's just that time of the year. Warehouse staff will be madly trying to pack all of your orders, so expect delays as well. And I get how frustrating it is. I'm a customer too. I buy things online and offline, but I just think it always pays to be really kind and think about how you would feel if you received an email like that. At the end of the day, shopping, sales and Black Friday and stuff like that, it's usually not a matter of life or death. So just a little bit of perspective. If you wouldn't say it to someone's face, writing it in a really hectic, angry email with all caps and lots of exclamation marks, I promise you someone is reading that and it really does ruin people's days. It's super stressful to be on the receiving end of emails like that as well. So just keep that in mind. I'm sure that none of our listeners have ever sent anything like this. I'm sure that none of our listeners would ever do this, but just remember that there are people working at online stores. There are staff that see your emails. There are real people that have to sit there and go through all of those. So if you could just keep that in mind. And the other thing I can promise you is even just a nice little note or any words or things like that that you put in with your orders or emails, that can literally make someone's day. Because with online, it can be, it feels a bit, it's less personal a lot of the time. So anytime, I know for the people in our team that we see a little note or something like that that's been left, or, anything like that, we end up talking about it because we're like, oh my God, this person's so nice, so sweet. Real people do see this stuff. So that's just my last one. A little bit of a thing to avoid, I think, is being rude. Being nice always will get you further. So I hope some of these are helpful. Again, like I said, this is not supposed to be super deep or anything like that, but there are a lot of great deals on at the moment, but I think there are some pitfalls to avoid, particularly with your skincare. So hopefully some of this has been useful. If it has, I would absolutely love a rating and a review. If you can think of any more, feel free to hit me up. I am on the gram at lauren.kbeauty. I'm going to wrap it up here for this week, but I will be back next week with another K-Beauty news update for you right here from Seoul, the home of K-Beauty. All right, until then, I will see you on Style Story.